Come here and address the island, Tshuva, nice and favorite. But it's befrat, simple for me. I go backwards to Shiva, back to 1998. And I was learning Eretz Yisrael. We used to learn on Shabbos when we have together. No, on Shabbos to get the Chabur. Wednesday Shabbos when we have together. Came back to whatever. I was 18 years old, and that time we learned together and trust Hashpon me, Machazit me. I can definitely say a lot of what I am today was due to those that Chabur chapter we had all the way back then. It's a big schos. The Elm's gonna get to hear. Sometimes we said that Shiva, there's a Torah, Yerushalayim, Kodesh.
Good evening, everyone. It's supposed to be here. Wow, it's Merding. It's a full day Medrash on a Thursday night. It's a very big honor. I want to speak just a little bit about Adar, Mishnechnas Adar, Marbim, B'Simcha. And one of the things that's a challenge for us is being happy. It's actually, I think that I remember. I don't remember where I was told about this, but I was told that there was once a front page of the Time magazine, a picture of a globe with a frown. And we're having a global crisis of depression. And what is the secret of happiness? What is going to make us happy? There's a mitzvah to be b'simcha. And I think that if I had to basically narrow it down to just one line, I think that the problem is that we're so fixated with pleasure that we don't manage to focus on simcha. It ends up being what we call it's called a happiness mask. Is that people think they're going to get happy over here with this, and actually looking in the totally wrong direction. Because Baruch Hu tells us Mishnechnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. So let's try to learn through the sugya of what simcha. So Shabbos Parashas Shkolim, which was last week, which is what we're learning this week as a parasha anyway, is the mitzvah of giving machatzis hashekel. Why is it that we have Shabbos Parashas Shkolim? Because Bizman Shabbos Mesa Mikdash Hayakayom, so then everyone would there'd be machrizin Rosh Chodesh Adar. There'd be machriz that everyone has to prepare themselves to give machatzis hashekel. And Shloshim Yom Koydem, the machatzis hashekel had to happen on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So Shloshim Yom Koydem, 30 days before, and you got to get yourself ready, prepare yourself for your machatzis hashekel. Zok Tesvas Emes. This is the Yisoid of Mishenechnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. Says the Svas Emes, the Yisoid is because of the machatzis hashekel. I didn't know this until recently, relatively recently, because I thought it was always about the Nes of Purim. That's what I thought it was all about. And why do you have to start the 30? At the beginning of Adar, I wasn't 100% sure, but okay, Adar is Purim. Getting into Purim mode. Says the Svas Emes, it's not about that. We'll get to the connection between that. But he says it's about the machatzis hashekel. He says this is the pshat. We say keshem sheni shenechnas av memayitim b'simcha kach mishnechnas adar marbim b'simcha. What is the Gemara saying? Keshem. What does it mean? Just like. Because here he's supposed to be sad, he's supposed to be happy. So they're both emotions. Says Vasemes, no. The yisoid of mishnechnas av memayitim b'simcha is because of churban habayis. Churban habayis makes us sad. So too, Kishem, Mishenechnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. What was the machatzis hashekel? This was money going to the Beis Hamikdash. It was going to the Adonim of the Beis Hamikdash. It was going to the Korbanos Tzibur of the Beis Hamikdash. It was going to the Kiyum of the Beis Hamikdash. So this brings Simcha. The Beis Hamikdash brings Simcha. So Kishem Mishenechnas Av Memayiti B'Simcha, because that's Churban Habayis. So to Mishenechnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. The Inyan of the Simcha is the Inyan of Machatzis HaShekel. Rosh Chodesh Av, we're machrizan on the Machatzis HaShekel. We get excited about Beis HaMikdash. This is the Pshat. Also, he's up the Sasas. So Rabbi say, I have a ha'ara katana on this Vasemis, which is, I understand why we're still in Avelis mode in Av. Because Av is still Churban. We're still experiencing Churban in Av. So that idea lingers, is still here. But Mishnechnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, if it's because of the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, so then why we still have the Din Kishin? Why is it still relevant to us? You don't have a Beis HaMikdash. So why is it still an inyan of Simcha and Adar? Muzay. The answer has to be that what we're doing during the month of Adar, the avoida of Adar, is the avoida of Binyan Beis HaMikdash. Adar is a zman that's mesubel for us to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. And that is what brings the Simcha. In truth, the Al-Shach says, it's brought down, it's also a Zohar, we say Vasuli Mikdash, this week's parasha V'shachanti, B'soichom, doesn't say B'soichoi, Chazal tell us, B'soich Leiv, Kol Echad Be'echad, is the pshat that the Simcha, the Beis HaMikdash is not, the Shechina, at least, that comes from the Beis HaMikdash, is not in the physical structure. It's in our hearts. And we can do that. And that's the Simcha. The Simcha of Adar is that we can, this is a time when we can bring a Kodesh Baruch Hu into our lives. Adar, I saw Karelishti brings down, is Aleph Dar. Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to live here with us. Aleph Dar, Hashem's going to live here with us. That's the Shechina. That's the Simcha of Adar. How does that happen? So, it's brought down, Sefer HaPirion and others, many people say this very similar concept. Why is it that when we're giving, everyone has to give to the Beis HaMikdash? Everyone has to be a part of it. Everyone has to give the same exact amount. Why are we all giving a machatzis Hashem? Why is it a machatzis? Why is it everyone giving a shekel? If you have to count Klal Yisrael, it'll be much easier. Just count, you have the number. To give a machatzis, and it's not like it's a crazy large amount. I mean, assuming anyone can afford a machatzis Hashem can afford a shekel. Why is it machatzis? It says the Sefer HaPirion, others say the same thing. He says the pshat is, it's to show us, we have to know that each Yid in Klal Yisrael is not a complete unit. Every one of us is not a Dover Shalem. Machatzis HaShekel is to bavais, is to show all of us to know that we are alone only a chelek. We're not complete. And when we see ourselves as not complete, that itself is the message of Machatzis HaShekel. Understanding that we need each other. That in order for me to be complete, I need you as a part of my reality. Just like last week, we learned from a Sefer Torah that in the middle of learning, we realized that Sefer Torah was possible. Because one of the letters wasn't complete. The Lamed was not connected. The whole Sefer Torah is possible. Klal Yisrael is referred to as Yesh, the Rashi Tevis, Yesh Shisha Ribi Oisis La Torah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah, 600,000 neshamas. If one of those letters is not complete, the whole Torah is possible. Because I'm just a machatzis. I'm just one ois. And every ois needs the other ois. This is the yesoid of machatzis HaShekel. And when we understand this yesoid, Klal Yisrael reaches a matziv of geula. What happens in the Beis HaMikdash? Beis HaMikdash is a place where we gather together. We do Aliyah L'Regel, we all come there. And Oindim, Tzvufim, Mishtachavim, Revochim, somehow there's place for all of us in the Beis HaMikdash. That's what brings us together. That is Geula. That is being the Beis HaMikdash. When Amalek came to attack Klal Yisrael was vulnerable. When Amalek came to Refidim. Says the Kleyokar, what is Refidim? What's the inyan of Refidim? He says it's miloshin of Rifyoin. Rifyoin, when Klal Yisrael is in Pirud, he says, the Rifyoin is Pirud. Refidim is miloshin of Pirud, which means when we're fragmented, when we reject each other. then Amalek can attack. That's when Klal Yisrael is vulnerable. But Amalek, what Amalek did, Haman saw in his generation similar. Haman told Achashverosh, Yeshno Am Echad, Mefuzar u'Mefurat. The period in Klal Yisrael, that's when Klal Yisrael is susceptible to attack. That's when Klal Yisrael doesn't have the Ki'ilu divine protection. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyochel is Anhoga is one of Shena. Because Klal Yisrael is Pirut, is Mefuzar, Mefurat. That's Churban. What's the tikkun of that? Says Esther Amalko, Lech Knoises Kol HaYehudim. Let's bring everyone together. Let's gather together. Shoshanas Yaakov Tzolas Amecha V'Resam Yachad Tchelas Mordechai. Says the Vilna Gaon. Klal Yisrael is the Achdus. That was the tikkun. That's what's going to fix it. This happens at certain places and at certain times. The Chedush Arim says, in this week's parasha, it says, Su es roish b'nei Yisrael. Su es roish. Lift up the roish. Elevate the roish. Says the Chedush Arim. If you take the letters roish, reish, aleph, shin, and you look at the letter beyond that, Su, which means lift it up. Go past the reish, go past the aleph, and go past the shin. Past the reish you get to shin, past the aleph you get to beis, and past the shin you get to saf. It's Shabbos. Says the Chedush Arim, Su es roish b'nei Yisrael, is lift up the roish and you get Shabbos. Shabbos is in time. The Beis Hamikdash was in space. The Shimshon Pinke says that if you look, there's tremendous correlation between what happens in the Beis Hamikdash and what we do on Shabbos. There's mirrors that we sing on Shabbos is like this mirrors. There's an inyan on Shabbos of saying the 15th Pitloch of Tilim, the Shir Amalos from the Beis Hamikdash. The big day Shabbos, the Lechem Aponim, the Lechem that we have on Shabbos, the Neiros of Shabbos. There's so many different things. Shabbos is in time, and the Beis Hamikdash is in space. And Shabbos is Roza de Shabbos. The secret of Shabbos is Echad. Ata Echad. Shimcha Echad. Umi Ka'amcha Yisrael Ve'echad Bo'atz. That's when Klal Yisrael is Ba'achdus. Our Geula comes from Shabbos. We're familiar with Chazal that say if Klal Yisrael would only keep 2 Shabbosos, then the Geula would come. Shabbos is when Klal Yisrael unites, when we're together, when we can respect and appreciate each other. This inyan, I believe, has its source in an akuda of the difference between pleasure and happiness. The difference between pleasure and happiness, and I've studied this a little bit. There are different chemicals that are released in a person's brain when a person experiences pleasure and happiness. There's dopamine and there's serotonin. Dopamine is something a person has when he's experiencing pleasure. Serotonin is a chemical that's released when a person experiences happiness. What's the difference between pleasure and happiness? Pleasure is something that you feel in the moment. Pleasure is something that you feel when you are enjoying something. Happiness comes from experiencing healthy relationships. Happiness comes when you are together. Happiness comes when a person can give to someone, can share with someone. Pleasure, taiva yevakesh nifrod. Pleasure is something that we're basically consumed in ourselves, we're absorbed in ourselves. Pleasure is when we reach out and we with others. The idea of machatzis hashekel, the idea of when a person gives, vinasnu, he's giving to someone else. He's experiencing happiness through sharing as opposed to taking. And he understands that that's what's going to make him happy, is to be able to appreciate someone, to care for someone, to give to someone. And perhaps that's the pshat this week's parasha. It says, V'yikchu li truma. The Mefarshim asks, what does it mean, V'yikchu li truma? V'yitnu li truma, give truma. Because Baruch Hu says, I want you to give and understand by giving, you're taking. Understand that this is an opportunity for you to have real happiness. So when you get out of yourself, you're not absorbed in how much I can amass, how much I can share with someone else. That's vinasnu, which is when you're giving, you're really taking. Because the word spelled forward and backwards is the same, because by giving, I'm taking. Understand the beauty of sharing with someone, of giving to someone. I think part of what happened by the Sudas Achashverosh, which is Al Shenenu Mesudas Oisei Rosha. Hana is not simcha. Chazal tell us mitzvahs lav lohanos. Mitzvahs were not given for hana, and yet the pasuk says, "If was Hashem b'simcha, tachas asher lo yavaret Hashem lokecha b'simcha." We're mechuyev HaKadosh. The pasuk tells you have to be happy with your avodas Hashem, and yet mitzvahs lav lohanos nitnu. Because the answer is hana means this is pleasure. Mitzvahs are not about pleasure. Mitzvahs are about being b'simcha. Simcha means I'm happy with the fact that I'm developing a relationship with Borei Olam. I'm connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the simcha a person feels when he does a mitzvah. Mitzvah is miloshin tzavsa. Tzavsa means I connect. I connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Some people translate it loosely as commandment. That's not the real. I heard from Moshe Shapiro in the name of Daksach, the name of the Shla, that mitzvah is miloshin tzavsa, which means to connect. We connect with Hashem. That's true simcha. True simcha is when we feel like we're together. As some of you, maybe all of you know, I live in Eretz Yisrael, and there's certain events that happen in my life that they're so ingrained in your memory. 9/11. I remember when I was Machabusa, and I heard about 9/11, and I still picture his face like dropping. We were in Shul by Mincha. This was in Eretz Yisrael. I remember where I was when Nosson Tzvi Finkel passed away. I was in Los Angeles at the time at Chasana. And I remember the experience of October 7th. I remember the wild knocking on my door and like being totally thrown off. Being in Yerushalayim, not knowing, what's going on. No one knew. It was something which we experienced afterwards. It was this sublime achdus in Eretz Yisrael. It's like unbelievable. And we were all together. And there was like no differences. And there was no talk about anything other than like supporting each other, encouraging each other. It was so beautiful. And we kind of like, we spoke about and we dreamed that maybe that would somehow linger. And it didn't. And we are not back to where we were pre-October 7th. We're way worse in Eretz Yisrael. And no one's, I can't say no, I can only speak for myself. I can't, say exactly why this happened or when it happened. I can just tell you that I remember hearing about an interview about a woman who was interviewing as a lifeguard, a man or a woman, I don't know, a lifeguard. But this is before October 7th. And they said, by the way, if it's a Haredi drowning, I'm not going to save them. Like, that's where we were at. That's the type of animosity that we were at. Which was terrible. And now we have people who are running over Haredi. This October 7th happened on Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah, Chazal say, Kosher like Vidasa, which the meaning of that is, it's hard for us, Hashem says it's hard for me for you when you leave. Kosher like Vidasa, it's hard for me to leave. I think it was the Chavisharim Bakatzka, I'm not sure, I can look it up if you want. He said, Kosher like Vidasa means it's hard for me to appear it. It's hard for me how fragmented you are. people has a hard time because it's so frightening. And on that day, we had the worst terrorist attack since the Holocaust. It was shocked. Shabbos is supposed to be the day of Achdus. There was the day Echad. It didn't happen. I venture to say, you probably all would agree with me, that anti-Semitism is at its peak in globally since the Holocaust. It's never been like as rampant as it is now. The hatred that there is from the non-religious to the religious, at least in our Yisrael, is at a peak. It's at a place when you walk down. Sometimes I was in a shul and just you can't even just be in the shul and people start attacking you, attacking your ideology. They're trying to take away all of our rights as a people. Anyone that wants to learn Torah, they're talking about setting up roadblocks outside Yerushalayim and Bnei Brak to like check if any person is a Ben Torah, they're gonna arrest them. It's like it's shocking what's happening. The pure. But it could be that it all stems from our own purity amongst ourselves. How much do we respect ourselves? Do we respect each other from within our own quarters? The idea of Machatzis HaShekel is to try to foster Achdus in Klal Yisrael. We should be together. We should respect each other. We should care about each other. This is the fundamental, which will bring Binyan Beis Hamikdash. It will come through us understanding the need for each other and finding a way to respect. Different people have different mahalchim in learning. Different people have different mahalchim in avodas Hashem. Different people have different ways that they express themselves. To be able to respect each other with dignity. And the ripple effect, I believe, will be that those that don't understand our lifestyle will still be able to respect us. And I believe that this is the key to the Mishnechnas Ador Marbin Simcha. Simcha comes when we feel like we can give to each other. We can care for each other. That is the true Simcha. That Simcha brings the Shechina, brings the Beis Hamikdash. Chazal tell us, Oindim tzfufim, ishtachavim revochim. There's a vertical. Oindim tzfufim is if I stand on my principle, it's going to get a little bit uncomfortable here. It's tzafuf. Ishtachavim, if I'm willing to bow, if I don't have to stand on what my way of doing things and my principles, there's room for everybody. Should be Zoicha Beis Hashem B'Korov. This Heilige Makom Torah should be transplanted in Yerushalayim HaKodesh. All the stones and all the Torah that was here should be brought there and should be Zoicha to the Gula Shleima. In Hero, Amen.